Hello, folks. I want to welcome you to episode 1, the initial episode of my video blog titled Post-Christian. And I have one goal today, and that's to explain what I'm trying to do, my purpose for doing this. I've been blogging through writing for almost 20 years with one theme, and that is what happens after someone's left evangelicalism, especially. And now I want to broaden that to just the whole idea of post-Christian. According to some polls, and I'm going to put up a slide here in a minute to show some of these polls. If you base the data on people who attend church, 2020 was a pivotal year where more people do not go to church in America than do. So I use that as a line of demarcation between a Christian America and post-Christian based on culture. Now, that's not necessarily a bad thing. My goal here is to reach out to people who are disillusioned with Christianity, who've left Christianity like I did at one point, not to bring them back into that culture. That's how this vlog is different from, there's so many talking heads on YouTube these days. A lot of them are people who've left Christianity and are bitter about it. There's a lot of actually very funny comedians who deconstruct and make fun of Christianity, which I like. There's a lot of things that need deconstructing. And then there's people who are trying to persuade individuals to come back into the culture. And that's the last thing I'm going to do. Actually, I want to be, I'm a very honest person, and I want to try to pave a path forward in this post-Christian world. Now, this vlog has become more important to me now as we're living in an age, as we're in America, where we're watching our actual government being dismantled from the inside out. And I think it's what's going to end up being a catastrophic problem. And I just listened to Heather Cox Richardson yesterday. She's a historian that's very helpful during these times, making sense out of things. I think she said 3 pillars of influence that's going on inside the American government with different agendas, although they may overlap. One of those, one of the most powerful ones, is the Christian right, who wrote the 2025. They're inside, and they have a vision for America. To me, is very disturbing what they're trying to do. They're anti-science. They're anti-government. They want to destroy the government and put a king like Donald Trump in power, to give them absolute power to dictate what they call Christianity. It's a Christian culture that they subscribe to onto all of America. And my issues are, I don't want to tell my whole story on this episode, but I grew up in the Bible Belt. I became a staunch evangelical when I was 18. I spent 28 years in the evangelical movement. And to show you the intensity of my commitment, I'm not bragging about this. Part of this I'm embarrassed about, but the level of our commitment that I gave up dating. When I finally met my wife, we got married. We gave away all of our earthly possessions, lived in a van for 2 years with 2 little boys, and then went to the Muslim world to share Jesus, as we thought that was the most difficult place in the world to work, and that's why we did it. But it was there that while I was living in this radically different culture, at the same time, there's an evangelical mission group that I was involved with, that it dawned on me that it was a farce. The whole thing was a farce. That we were very dishonest, emotionally dishonest. We were dishonest with each other. There's a lot of manipulative, abusive things that happened through those 28 years. And I'm not, my evangelical friends think the only reason I would leave that wonderful world is that my feelings got hurt. It's not anything like that. I'm not bitter. I'm not a victim. I was one of the perpetrators. I abused people just as well. But I then, in 1990, I left that organization, left the group, left the mission field, and spent the next, from 1990 until the present, in very hard study, trying to make sense of this whole thing. And I think it's more imperative today, as we're watching these same people destroy our government, destroy America, our secular government. And I have learned so much, and that's why I want to do this. It's why I write the blogs. It's why I want to do this video vlog to communicate with people. And especially my heart is for those people that they have no answers, that they've been in the church, they've been a Christian, and then it just makes no sense anymore. And no one's there to answer their questions in a very honest way. And if someone asked, who am I? Well, I'm J. Michael Jones. I am a writer to some extent. I had one not editor, but a literary agent once said, why would we publish your book? You're a nobody. Well, I'm a nobody. I don't have credentials after my name to prove knowledge in any area, and I'm a learner. I have deep respect for experts, but there's a lot of things I've discovered in culture and the way that Christians think that's I think unhealthy, that's led to this place in history where now they're dismantling the whole government of the U.S. for these reasons that just don't make any sense in the end. So that's what I want to talk about. Now, I want to be clear that when I deal with religious people, and I am not a religious person anymore, now, so you don't have to second guess, I'll be very frank with you that over time I was an agnostic. I flirted with atheism, but I eventually came back to believing in a personal creator of the cosmos. And as I went back and studied the authentic life of Jesus Christ of Galilee, not some Jesus that's been recreated in America, but the original Jesus Christ of Galilee, I fell in love with the person and with his teachings, and not just as a good teacher. I recognize him, in my opinion, that he is the Messiah, the Son of God, and therefore I'm as Christian as anyone else. Now, I do belong to a church. I participate in this church to a certain level. I can't be deeply involved with any church. I tried to for 20 years, but I say, and I think this is true, that the number one goal of religion is conformity. Hard questions are not tolerated. I really love hard questions, and I think hard questions are important to be discussed. Now, I'm sitting here in a cottage that I'm building myself as part of my therapy for dealing with cancer. But if you look around here, I want you just to imagine for a moment that this was an old church. Say a church built in the late 1800s that started out with a congregation of 100 people, and then it got down over time, maybe in the 1950s, it got down to, say, 75 people, and then after a while, 50, then 30, then 20, then it couldn't sustain itself anymore, couldn't financially support a pastor. So the church closed, was mothballed, and then years later someone buys it and turns it into a coffee shop or to a private home. This is an imaginary story, but it's true. It's a story that's happening all over America. 1.5 million to 2 million people are leaving Christianity every year, and that's beyond those who are coming into Christianity, a small number. I'll put up a slide right here. I can't remember if this slide is from Pew Research, but it shows just graphically how the church, people who go to church, is dropping off and those who don't is going up, and that pivotal year being 2020. Now, those studies, they have to use data that they can work with, and it may not be authentic to reality, but the data they choose is church attendance to measure Christianity, and that's not, of course, as you know, not absolutely true, a good way to measure it, because there's people who go to church, who participate in church, and I've talked to such people that say, I don't believe that there is a God. I don't believe that Jesus is the Messiah. And there's plenty of people who never go to church who honestly, in my opinion, are as good as Christians as any person on earth. Now, in the end, I don't want to give away the climax of the story early, but in the end, one of the things I want to do is to create a path for people going forward to love the Jesus of history, to follow Jesus' history, and not participate in the American Christian culture. That's one of the greatest discoveries that I found, that what we call the church, I now call the man's church or the human's church, because if you study carefully church history, you will find the hideous things, horrible things done by the church, and you'll find wonderful things, glorious things, wonderful people. To me, if this was a God-built institution controlled by God, and that's one of the things that people like to believe, both Protestants, Catholics, all, then it should look very different from that, in my opinion. Now, I'm not criticizing the institutional church as something evil. It can be something wonderful. I go to a great church. But the point is, church has so many different forms. And I know groups of people who never go to church, but get together and fellowship with other Christians, and a wonderful bunch of people. But I want to go, in these next few weeks, I want to deconstruct some of the things about the Christian culture that tries to make sense from a historical perspective, from a philosophical perspective, from a psychological perspective, to separate out that culture from the simple teachings of Jesus, of history. And that's the point of this blog. There's thousands, actually millions of people on YouTube doing things like this. But I searched for someone who was doing this very thing that I'm doing, and I really couldn't find them. I couldn't find them who like to tackle these really hard questions in a very honest way. When I left Christianity, I prayed to God. I said, I'm going to pursue truth at all cost. Truth, not meaning religious truth. I'm talking about factual truth. The same truth that Socrates pursued, Aristotle, Plato, many people throughout history, just factual truth. And if I get to factual truth and find out there is not a God, I would accept that. But I'm not going to stay in this world of pretentiousness where we pretend there's a God. Because if there is a creator of the cosmos that created it all, then that you would find that creator in reality, not in some fake imaginary world behind the looking glass. So I don't know if that makes any sense or not. I want to have fun. I'm not a religious person. I don't fight with religious people. I try not to. They come after me. And when I deconstruct and the church and Christian culture, I don't do it from a moral perspective. Religious people always make things immoral. I don't know how many times, beyond count, I've been told that I'm a very, very bad person. I'm not a real Christian. I'm from the devil. Mike, you're from the devil. I've heard that so many times in the last 20 years, and I'm exhausted from it. Because religious people turn everything into a moral problem. That's not my perspective. I really adore Thomas Aquinas, and one of the things he said was that he respects people who, I wish I could quote it, he respects people who disagree because they're all pursuing truth. Now, he believed, and I believe, that truth is not relative. I don't respect people because all truths are the same. I respect people who disagree with me. I greatly respect atheists, agnostics, Christians of all sorts. I respect them because we're all in this together, just trying to find the truth. And if I disagree with them, I'm not saying they're stupid. I'm not saying they're immoral. I'm not saying they're not Christian or anything like that. That's what I hear from them. But that's not my perspective. That's why I can have dear friends. I have a great disdain for Donald Trump, and I have lots of friends who adore him, who just almost to the point of worshiping him. I can still respect those people because I know they meant well. They want to pursue truth. I mean, sometimes it becomes a moral issue, but that's not my reference, frame of reference. Anyway, that's what this is going to be about. If you find this interesting and you want to hear what I say, subscribe. I'm going to start doing this for a few weeks, see what happens. I've had about 500 people following my written blog, which is not a lot, is what I'm trying to say. And if I do this video vlog and there's only 1 or 2 people that follow it, I probably will give up on it. I'm not seeking, I don't have some illusions of grandeur that there'd be huge amounts of people. And certainly this is not a venture in a monetary sense of trying to create a huge following. But just for those people, let me tell you, just end with one story. When I came out of evangelicalism in 1990, what it reminds me of, back in 1981, I hitchhiked through northwest Pakistan, and I was so lost. In those days, I've been back to that same area, and there's more English spoken now, but in those days, there was you couldn't find anybody that spoke English. And I was so lost, and I met a guy who spoke English, a German guy, in this town, Mansoura, in Pakistan, and he put me on a bus, and he spoke Urdu, and he talked to the driver and tried to tell him where to take me, where to drop me off. I got on the bus, and we went through these mountains. I was trying to get up near K2, the second tallest mountain in the world, and we're going through these mountains. And I knew we were going way past where I wanted to get off. And so I worked my way up through this crowded bus. There's chickens, there's, baskets and packed of people. Trying to work my way up to the front. A side story, there's a woman impersonator, a prostitute who's trying to seduce me, is on my way to the front and trying to get me to, anyway, that's another story. But I got to the front of the bus. I'm talking to the driver in English. He doesn't understand a word I'm saying. He's driving these mountain roads. Just imagine a scene from an Indiana Jones movie, just these treacherous roads going through the mountains. And I'm saying, where is my stop? Where is my stop? You forgot me. And I think he just got pissed off at me. And he's driving the bus. And next thing you know, I hear the bus wheels go, ah! He opens the door and gives me a shove. And I fall out the door into the ditch. And he takes off. So here I am out in the middle of nowhere in Pakistan, completely lost. But that's what it feels like if you grew up in a church and suddenly it makes no sense anymore. And you hear more and more just bizarre things coming out, especially the conservative church. I'm going to talk about the progressive church as well. During this time of decline, I think both of them have gone off their rails. And you hear these things, but if you step out of the church, you feel like you're stepping into this wilderness. And there is a wilderness. And most people who leave end up with either being an agnostic, atheist, disillusioned, or some other nebulous spirituality. I should be an atheist now from my journey, but I'm not. Anyway, that's what it is. J. Michael Jones. This vlog is going to be titled Post-Christian. I'm going to be taking a unique perspective. And it's something I've been doing for a long time, but now it's more pertinent than any other time as we watch the dismantling of our country. And part of that's been done by the Christian right. Thank you so much for coming.